Hello and welcome to episode 18 of Novelknits. My name is Danelle and this is my YouTube channel where I talk about what I'm knitting and what I'm reading here from my basement in southeastern Wisconsin. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. We've had a couple more viewers and subscribers lately, so thank you, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. I hope you'll stay and join us. And thank you to all the returning viewers as well. I can't express to you how much it means to me that you guys keep coming back and that you've been interacting with the channel or with me through Instagram or Ravelry. It's been just awesome. I love making new knitting friends, so thanks so much. If you want to find me on Instagram or Ravelry, you can find me as Novel Knit Girl in both places, and I will have all the information listed below this video where you can find me, the Ravelry group name, I believe it's Novel Knits podcast group, and all the information about the make-alongs that I'm hosting will also be down below this video. And I will also post notes about everything that I talk about. So my projects, the yarn I used, books I'm reading or finished, it will all be listed below. So any questions, check there. And if you still have a question, please feel free to reach out. Really quickly before we get much further, I am hosting 2 year-long knit-alongs this year and I'm really excited about it. The first is Sweater Year 2022. So all you have to do for that is knit or crochet a sweater. You can either use that hashtag Sweater Year 2022 or you can post your finished object in a thread on Ravelry. The other make-along is, and this one is definitely the most popular so far, Shop Your Stash 2022. So any project that you make, knit, crochet, cross stitch, embroidery, macrame, painting. I know I'm missing a ton of other ones, but pretty much anything that you can, other than cooking. Cooking is the only thing that I'm not gonna allow in, but anything else, use those materials that you bought prior to January 1st, 2022 and make something with it. So beading, anything. I mean, I am really open. So anything that you use your stash, the only rule is it has to be 75% from stash, but shop your stash, enjoy the things you've already invested in and go ahead and make anything. And of course, I don't know if I've made it clear, but you can double dip in both of my make-alongs. So if you make a sweater from stash, put it in both threads. That's great. I would love to have you participate in both of them. So I've had some activity. Some people have been posting in Ravelry and on Instagram, and it's been really cool to see. I love getting to see what you guys are making too. So it's really cool. And thanks so much for participating and for your enthusiasm. It's been awesome. So today I have for you some Vital Few, which is just where I talk about a couple things. Today might be a little bit longer, but there's some knitting related things in there, so it should still be interesting. I have one finished object, which was a surprise. I finished it last night. And then I have a couple of works in progress. I have a book club at the end, and that'll be it for today. I'm gonna try to get through this a little bit quickly without being too all over the place. So the first thing I want to talk about really quickly is obviously there's a lot going on in the world right now, and this war in Ukraine is just terrible. And if I've learned one thing over the last 2 years, it's don't ever think it can't get worse, because it always can. And I've been really thinking about, and I'm not very religious, but praying in my own way for the people of the Ukraine and what they're going through right now. And I was watching the Knits and Pieces podcast the other day, and I think it was Noel said, you know, what a privilege we have to be able to get out here and just go about our everyday lives and talk about knitting and have a podcast and not have to worry about the safety of our children or our family right now. So I just wanted to acknowledge that that's going on, and I'm not trying to act like it isn't, even though I'm here talking about yarn and knitting and frivolous things. So I'm going to really quickly, before I move away from that, there are a lot of makers out there, pattern designers and yarn dyers, who are selling things right now that are a contribution to Ukrainian charities. So if you want to support the people in Ukraine, it's pretty easy to find someone who is selling something that you would be interested in, that you can, you know, use to support both the maker and the charity to the Ukraine. Or you can just make an outright donation. I mean, it's hard, right? Sitting in our homes safe and just thinking, what can we do? I wish this wasn't happening, but it is. So I'm gonna transition back to the frivolous stuff now and talk about my sweater. So this is the Areca sweater. It's made out of Quince & Co. owl yarn. And I made this as a test knit 3 to 4 years ago. I didn't check the date. But I've decided I am going to rip it out and reclaim the yarn. And you might be saying, Danelle, why would you do that? It's a beautiful sweater. And it is. Especially this yoke is gorgeous. However, that is where the beauty ends for me. And today, me wearing it while I record is probably the longest I will have worn it in the last 3 to 4 years. So I was a terrible test knitter. This was definitely my first sweater test knit. I didn't really understand gauge. I was a newer sweater knitter at the time. And after I got past this gorgeous yoke, this is where the problems start. This is so tight. I mean, you can see my skin through my elbow. There's nothing. I'm warm wearing this because it's so tight up in my armpit. This is a heat trapper for me. Plus, when I stand up, there was some waist shaping. And after I blocked this yarn, I think the waist shaping was supposed to happen more up here and sit like this, but this yarn grew and now it kind of sits weird like this. I did think long and hard about if I could fix it. I know I could fix the bottom, but I don't think there's much I can do about the arms, nor do I really want to. I like this yarn a lot. I enjoyed making the sweater. I am such a process knitter that for me, I can take this yarn out and make something else and be just as happy. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. It's worsted weight, so I think I'm gonna look for either a colorwork sweater that has like a colorwork yoke or a colorwork cardigan to use this yarn. Because it's a gorgeous, gorgeous blue color. You can't even tell, my lighting is not good, but there's a lot of movement in this blue. It's a gorgeous blue color. And I just think this just sits and I could make something else. And I'm a better knitter now than I was when I made this. So I know that's what I'm gonna do. So this is the last hurrah for the Areca. So wish her well. And then I have a couple other sweaters here that I wanted to show. Or I should just say projects, that I'm also going to reclaim the yarn. When you're a process knitter, I think that's okay. I think if I was a product knitter, I would be devastated and I don't know what I would do. But because I'm a process knitter, I just think it's another opportunity to make something else, right? So this is the Zadie sweater. And I made this when the Grocery Girls had their channel on Craftsy. And they did a knit along with this sweater. So I made the Zadie sweater and it's really pretty. And generally I'm quite proud of it. But again, this is one that I didn't really understand gauge or my sizing, and it's just a bit small. Plus this garter hem flares out kind of funny on me and just isn't my favorite look. Again, the arms don't fit great. I thought about giving it to my daughter, but there's this stitch right here. You see it? It's like right there. You can't not see that. Trust me. And there's no short row shaping, so it would either be on my stomach or on my back. And I don't like either of those things. So if this fit me great, I might try to fix it, but it doesn't. So again, this is Cloudborn Highland worsted yarn and really pretty gray. Again, I think this would be great in like a colorwork cardigan. So I'm going to reclaim this yarn as well and make this into something that I like and not something that hugs my body in ways I don't want it to hug my body. So that's that. So I had also shown, I think at the beginning of January, the long weekend cardigan that I'd made that was just way too big. As you can see, it takes us a while sometimes, especially me. I just like doing the knitting so much that I don't always do the work to make sure it's gonna work out, which I'm trying really hard to be better at now in my knitting career, but I wasn't so good at it before. So the long weekend cardigan, which I showed, had some major seaming issues and it was really big. And again, I don't like it enough to try to fix it. That one I'm gonna rip out, and I definitely know I want to make a Thea Coleman, I think that's her name, Baby Cocktails. I want to make one of her patterns with that yarn. I love the yarn. It's like a Tweety yarn, and there's a couple ideas I have for it. So again, I'm excited for the future of that yarn, and I can make it into something I'll use. See how many times I can say that in different ways. So the other thing is not a sweater. It is the Shift by Andrea Mowry, made out of SSpincycle yarn. And I made this 4 years ago while I was in Florida, and it was a joy to knit. I mean, it's so gorgeous, but this does not look right on me. I'm pretty sure I didn't seam it correctly, but I mean, it is just long and narrow. And 4 years, I've never pulled it out to wear. I've decided I want to use it for something else. So SSpincycle is beautiful. It is soft. It is amazing. I don't have a lot of extra SSpincycle in my stash. I think I have some to make a sweater and like one extra skein. Not like a full SSpincycle sweater, but like it would be the color work. But I thought, all of this is beautiful. I just don't like this Shift cowl. It's not working for me. And I can use this yarn for other things. So I was thinking I could use it for color work in a sweater. That seems to be where my head's at, is color work sweaters right now. Or those socks, the Curio socks that Andrea Mowry released recently, that is holding a strand of SSpincycle along with a solid color. There's a lot I could do with this yarn, and it's an expensive yarn and gorgeous. So I want to give it a different life, and that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to have a like frog weekend where I just frog all this stuff. Maybe I'll record some of it. But I think I'm going to wait a little while. I want to get through a couple more sweaters before I start frogging these, but they're definitely on the list to be frogged. And then the last thing I'm going to show is not something I'm going to frog, but something I need to adjust. And that is my Comfort Fade Cardi by Andrea Mowry. And I just finished this past fall. This is going to be a great look. A sweater on a sweater. There's so much I like about it. I love the yarn. It's La Bien Aimée. Yarn is fantastic. Where things go awry for me is the shawl collar. I don't like it. I don't think I picked it up right, and I hate it. Hate's a strong word, but I hate it. I don't like how it looks, and I don't like how it makes, for me, like I feel like if I had just a different, like it's not sitting right? So unless I'm supposed to wear it more like this, but then my neck's cold, it's not working for me. So what I've decided to do is I'm going to rip out the collar, and I'm just going to put in ribbing, because the bottom hem is ribbing. So I'm just going to match the ribbing on the collar. And then I'm going to take out these awful sleeves, because I really screwed up the bottom of these sleeves. And I'm going to, instead of doing whatever I did, I'm going to do just a quick rapid decrease here. And I'm going to do ribbing on the sleeves too. They're long and they look weird. So I think that will help a lot. And if it doesn't, I'm going to give this one away, because it's a lot of work. I don't want to rip it out. I don't know what else I would use this yarn for. And yeah, so I'm going to try that. So this is going to be a summer project where I'm going to try to fix this sweater. All right, it's too warm for 2 sweaters. Yeah. So that's sort of just something I wanted to talk about today in Vital Few. Like, if you're like me, and if you're more of a process knitter, this to me sounds fun and exciting, like giving a new life to this yarn. But I can see how this could make somebody else like really anxious. But there are times I finish a project and I don't ever have to look at it again. Like, I really enjoyed the time we had together, but it's not like, I don't know. Then sometimes it's done for me. So I'm excited, but I have a lot of other things I want to get done before I do this. So this will probably be like a reclaiming the yarn this year, and then maybe putting these into projects for next year. And like for this one, like, I wonder if I spliced. I have no idea. Like, am I gonna have like one big ball of yarn, or is it gonna be all different stuff? I have no idea. So, but I feel like I may have spliced with this one. We'll see. Before I get into my finished object, I just wanted to talk about prizes for the knit along. And I know I should have talked about this earlier, but I forgot, and I was really excited to talk about the sweaters. For the 2 knit alongs, make alongs that I'm hosting, the first quarter prizes is coming up. So I am going to choose prizes at the end of March. So March 31st, I will draw from both the Ravelry and Instagram hashtags. Right now, the sweater is not getting too much love. So if you have a sweater you think you can finish by the end of this month, get it in there so you can be entered into the prize. A lot of people are using the Shop Your Stash, and that's been awesome to see. But so for this round of prizes, I'm going to do for Shop Your Stash, I shopped my stash and found these 2 awesome Plucky Knitter skeins that I'm going to give away. They're both Primo Aran, 200 yards, and they're superwash merino, cashmere, and nylon. This one is Kilt, and this one is Baby Boom, and they go together great. And I just think they're lovely. And then I'm also going to put in with that prize this bar of Tuft Woolens in Cranberry Pucker. I believe it's the Grocery Girl scent, and I think I got it with one of their kits, and it is the best smell in the world, but I don't use these kind of wool washes. So I would like to give this to somebody who does. So hopefully whoever wins will love these things. And then for the sweater shop, oh gosh, what's it called? Sweater year, Mal, make along, not just a knit along. It could be crochet as well. For that one, I'm going to gift the winner a sweater pattern of their choice, either from Ravelry or any website. So if you win up to $10, I will gift you a sweater pattern. So that is what I'm going to do. And then for the next quarter, I'll probably switch it and give away a yarn prize for the sweater make along and a pattern prize for the Shop Your Stash. Okay. Now let's get into finished objects. So I went to a baby shower right when we got home from Orlando, and part of my gift was sent directly to the recipient. It's my husband's cousin, and the other half shipped to me. So I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. So I thought, well, if I have to ship her something anyway, and I know that she knows I'm a knitter, and she is always pretty supportive of my knitting and yarn dyeing, that she would probably appreciate a little hand knit for her baby. So it ended up being a great mistake, because then I could make a little baby vertebrae sweater. Isn't it so cute? Oh, I love babies. And knitting for them is so fast. So this is the baby vertebrae, and this is by Kelly Van Nykirk. I think that's how you say it. If anybody knows and I'm incorrect, please let me know the correct pronunciation below. That would be great. But this is a simple and easy, lovely pattern. Tons of people have made this. If this is your first time seeing it, it is designed to keep the baby's arms and back warm, and keeping their front free, like in case they spit up or if they're skin to skin time. And I just think it's a brilliant design, and it was really great. So I made the fingering version, and I probably could have just gotten the free version, but I ended up buying the version that has like a worsted weight pattern as well, just because I can see myself making many of these in the future. It was fun to make and very, very easy. The yarn I used is Leading Men Fiber Arts in the color Sandcastle. It's so pretty. I love it. I want a sweater in this color. I'm gonna have to wait, but it's so cute. and it's super wash, so it can go in the wash. I'm gonna have to write her a little note so that she just knows she can put it in the washing machine, but maybe hang it to dry or lay it out to dry. But I thought she would really appreciate that and that it would be a fun little gift. I don't know if there was anything else I was gonna say about it. Lehman Fiber Arts. That's it. I think that's all. Let's get into my works in progress, because I have been really good about sticking to my sweaters and being far less squirrely this past few weeks. So I have been working on the same 2 sweaters, and then I also had this 3rd little baby sweater. So I was very, very focused, and instead of casting on and squirreling out, I pulled out some blankets to work on when I needed a break from my sweaters. So I will start with the stratified sweater, which I am making by Tiff Nealon, and it is out of the worsted book. Everybody has been talking about this book because it's fantastic, so beautiful. Everything is lovely in it. And I did buy a kit of yarn from Lavender Lune to try out the curry worsted. Corey worsted, I think I said that last time. Curry, no, it's Corey, like a Corey Dale blend. And this is where I'm at. So it's really nice. I don't know why I always do this. I always hold everything up to me. So this is really pretty. I chose the kit that was, these are the colors that Amy of Lavender Lune had made hers in. So, and I'm following her same sequence. I do wish I had maybe switched some of the colors around just for fun. But I do really like this color combination. So this is a really cool sweater in that it has short rows. Obviously the back you can see is higher than the front. And then this little section has some texture. It's very subtle. And then this obviously is some eyelets. Then there's some slipped stitches. Oh my gosh. Slipped stitches and more texture here. And then another row of eyelets here. And then if I was gonna make the cropped version, I would be done after this section, but I'm not really a cropped sweater person. I'm a lady in my 40s, so I'm gonna go for the longer version. So I've got a bit more on the body to do. If I hadn't made that baby sweater, I think I probably would be close to done with this. It goes pretty quickly being worsted weight. I think it's a size 8 needle that I'm using. But yeah, this is coming along. I think I'm gonna try it on this weekend or sometime early this week. Maybe I'll finish them and then try it on and hope for the best. But I'll probably try it on before then just to make sure that everything is good. If for some reason something wasn't good, I don't know what I would do. I did a gauge swatch at the beginning of this project and I was right on gauge. I did not wash or block the swatch, but I was on gauge. So hopefully everything is gonna be fine. As I've said before, this is probably going to be the most expensive sweater I ever make. So I really hope that I love it. And I'm enjoying working on it for sure. So I'm not gonna show you the yarn balls because you can see all of the sweater, all of the colors in the sweater. But yeah, it's living in this Knit Picks bag. Little knitting hedgehog, so cute. And then my second sweater is the Cozy Classic Raglan by Jessie Maed Designs. This is, I'm afraid my yarn is cursed. We'll see. I love this sweater. It is really great. I love this. I mean, it's gorgeous. But do you see what I see? I mean, it stretches a lot, so maybe I'm fine. But it does look a little tiny. So I did gauge swatch for this. And my gauge swatch came out a little bit large. So I went down a needle size, but I did not re-gauge swatch. This one I'm definitely gonna try on soon. And honestly, being the second sweater, oh my gosh, it's so soft. Being the second sweater I'm trying with this yarn, if it doesn't fit, I'm calling it cursed and we're gonna leave it there. I'm not gonna keep trying to make the sweater happen, but I love this. The increases are beautiful. Such a nice feature. I love how the yarn is playing together. It's Lavender Lune. I told the story many times, but I got it on discount from Samantha of Lavender Lune. And this is her Shadow Singer color, and it's held with Rowan Kidsilk Haze in steel. So, I mean, it is a beautiful gray black with splashes of color and little itty bitty, oh my gosh, words, itty bitty sparkles that sometimes you can see. But I love this. So I'm gonna try it on, and it better work. If it doesn't, I might need to go into therapy. Because that's a lot of knitting time. I've basically knit this much of this sweater twice, but the last time was the petite knit, no frills, and that was a hot mess and had to be ripped back, and I'm not ripping this back again. So I need to just try it on and put my mind at ease, and then I'll be okay. I'll do that today. So those are the 2 sweaters that I'm working on right now. I have 3 that I'm ready to cast on as soon as one of these is mostly done. I found a pattern. I believe I found it on Knit Picks, and it's called the Hinterland, and it's like a really cool turtleneck short sleeve tunic sweater that's got some neat easy texture patterning to it. And when I saw that, I just thought I need something like that in my wardrobe for the days that I wear leggings, and it's going to fit a wardrobe need. So that one is actually a product knit, and I did not buy the tweed yarn on Knit Picks. Instead, I'm going to use some Harrisville Designs nightshades that I've had in stash for a long time, and I'm pretty excited to use that yarn. So I'm really excited to cast that on. I want to cast on the Sea Glass sweater, which is all DK scraps, and it just looks so fun. And the people who are making it, I'm like so jealous. I really want to make one. And then I also want to cast on the Metropolis sweater by Tanis Lavelli or Lavelli. I never know which way to say it. But I have the Metropolis yarn, and it's a bulky sweater, so I feel like that one will go fast once I start it. So those 3 are waiting in the wings. So once I finish one or get really close, I'm going to cast on probably the Hinterland next. So I'm pretty pumped about that. So the other projects that I pulled out this week when I needed a break from sweater knitting were just a couple blankets I have on the go. I think I have 5 blankets cast on, and I have like 12 more I want to make. I love blanket making, and I'm not going to lie about it anymore. Not that I ever did, but I pulled out my bits and bobs, and I'm really determined to finish this one before summer, because I think this will be a great like sit outside at night or by our fire pit blanket. It's not going to be a huge blanket, but I think this is going to be a great one, and I love working on it. It is so squishy and so beautiful. So this is the Bits and Bobs by Kay Jones of the Bakery Bears. And here's the whole thing. And since I showed it last time, I've added this like green blue section here, and I just started this maroon section. So when you make the bits and bobs, you hold a fingering weight with like a main color all the way through. So my main color is Knit Pick Stroll Dove Heather, which is so soft and lovely. And then right now I'm working with a Miss Babs fingering yarn. Yummy 2-ply, I think. I don't know the colorway, but it's just like this neat maroon wine color. I do think inadvertently this has more feminine colors in it than not, but I love it. I think it's great. And it does have some memories that I have in here. Some of the next colors are going to be, I've pulled out some from stash, or not stash, from my scraps. I have tons of scraps. This is probably more of a sport weight, but I think it's going to work. And then I'm going to add a little bit of the Cheese Heads color. And then this is another Miss Babs Yummy 2-ply. This is, I think, City Lights. So yeah, it's coming along, and I'm really, this is super relaxing. I watched somebody recently say that they found that going underneath, because it's basically like a fisherman's rib. So you knit one, you knit, I don't know if I should say this because it's a paid for pattern, but you knit one and then you knit the stitch below. And to me, that's, once you get into it, like the first row is a little like finicky, but after that, it's just such a rhythm. It's almost just like knit, knit, knit. And it's fun. And I have made mistakes, but none of them have been detrimental. And it's just gonna be for my family anyway, so I think that's fine. This is one of my I Heart You bags, and I just love it. So I have this fun idea that I would like to make both of my kids a cozy memories blanket by the time they graduate from high school. So this is a long-term project. It doesn't have to be done tomorrow. So I just really started these. That's not true. I probably started them 2 years ago, and one of them started with 2 squares and the other started with 1. And it's been kind of on my mind that I want to get these started. And you guys, this is so fun. I don't know. I know a lot of people aren't into this, but I really, really am. So this is for my sons. And so I had started with these two metered squares here. And I will say my sons has been the learning curve. So I don't know if you can tell, but I was having some trouble figuring out how to pick up so that everything was going the same way. So I got everything going the same way, but like the one, I didn't realize that this was the wrong side. And so this one is on the right side. And then this I did on the wrong side. And then I figured things out, like where I had to pick up and how I had to do the decreases to get everything going the right way. So then these 4 are all correct. So now I am on a roll. And I don't know where these 2 squares, I think this is just some mini skeins I had, but I had made my son a pair of socks a few years ago in this Lolo Did It Festivus color. This is CJ Knit White Walker, I think. This is Northbound Knitting. I made my husband a pair of socks in these. I made myself this Gnome Acres Starry Night. I made a pair of socks for me. This is very old. Cloudborn. I made a pair of socks for myself probably 4 or 5 years ago in this color. And this is Fox Farts. I just made my son a pair. So I'm not just using yarn I made out of socks I made for my son for this. That was a tough sentence, but I hope you followed it. I'm using all scraps. And his is going to be a little bit more masculine, but that doesn't mean he's not going to get some pinks in there as well. And then my daughter's is, so I'm kind of doing 4 squares at a time. So once I complete 4 squares on one, then I'll add 4 squares to the other, and that's kind of how I'm working on it. So this is my daughter's, and this was the first square, and it looks better now, but it is smaller than the other ones, and I'm not sure. My daughter's is a little bit different. Hers has a few more stitches. I am following 2 different Cozy Memory patterns. I don't know why I did this. It wasn't a great decision, but I'm fine. It's working. So my daughter's squares have like 46 stitches and my son's have 40. So hers take just a little bit longer. This is again that Festivus color, and then I totally ran out. So then there's just a little blue here at the end. This was a sock blank. I have no idea. And this was a dyer. Her name is Yarn to You, and I got a mini skein set once, and this was one of the colors. It's fun, and I've been enjoying it. I have been using signature needles, which this is the one thing I might change. These are a bit long and not my favorite needles to use, but they're signature and they were not cheap, and I'm trying to use them. But yeah, like when you're knitting, and I don't use straight needles very much anyway, but it's awkward, and I definitely like have to like, I don't know. I'm gonna stick with them for a while, but I may change them out for a circular needle that is more comfortable to knit with. But anyway, I love this project. It's fun. As you can see, it's been bringing me some joy lately. All right, I do have an acquisition. Not gonna lie, I've struggled with some purchasing lately. It started small and then it kept building. I do have some yarn coming in the mail. I am not lying. I am not trying to hide it. It started small and I just watched how quickly it can get out of control for me. So I'm cutting myself off again. And you know, I think my next lapse will be around my birthday because it seems to be like certain times of year are harder for me. So I have some yarn coming and I won't talk about it very much. I try not to be an enabler on my channel because I know I am easily enabled. But I will show you exactly what happened. So I did buy the Lina magazine episode winter 2020 issue. And this one, if you want it right now, it is very difficult to find. And I was not going to buy this at all, but two things happened. One, my everyday wardrobe when I'm working is a hooded sweatshirt with a kangaroo pocket. I like a kangaroo pocket because I like a place to put my phone when I'm walking around, or, you know, again, sometimes we lose things, right? So I found this sweater. I do not know how to pronounce that. And it was not available for individual purchase on Ravelry. It is exactly what I want. It's gorgeous. I love everything about the sweater. And so then I was like, well, if I'm gonna buy the book or the magazine, what else is in there? I've already purchased a few of the patterns in here. There's a Tiffany Lynn sweater that I really love, and I think there's one other one that and then there's a kind of like a poncho thing from Denise Byron. This is the Tiffany Lynn sweater. Love that one. It is called Ascend. This thing, I don't know if I'll ever have the courage to do it, but that's gorgeous. I'm sure you guys have probably seen most of this, so I'm not going to go crazy, but I am going to show you the sweater that started my spiral, and it is the Snowy Forest. So I was looking at the project pages for this, and I found a version that a girl did, and I forget her name, but I follow her on Instagram now, and she used Fiber for the People, Sport, and Surrey held together in the Endor colorway, which is the most perfect green. And if you've been here for a while, you know that like green is my color. I love green. And it was perfection. And you all know that I can't come up with a color combination to save my life. So when I see something I like, that's my light bulb moment. And so I went back and forth for a few days about whether or not I should buy it. And I did. And then I bought more yarn. So I've got some yarn coming in the mail, but I made it like 57 days without, and that's the longest I've ever gone. So yay for small victories, boo for a failure, but now I'm holding myself accountable and I'm not going to do that again. But yeah, this is phenomenal. And again, I try not to be an enabler, but I just had to, and I will make that sweater and I will love it. It will not count for my shop from stash knit along or make along, but oh my gosh, it's beautiful. I loved it. So I had a fail. It happens. But anyway, let's move on to book club. So if for some reason, I don't know why, you don't want to talk about books with me, that's what we're going to end on. And you can go and it's fine. And I'll see you next time, I hope. And I hope you enjoyed hanging out today. I finished The Midnight Library by Matt Haig, and you guys, I loved it. It was so good. that concept of getting the opportunity to take a different path, see what your life would be if you had gone down another path, is never going to get old for me. And this was done really well. The writing was really good. The ending was expected, but it was still done well. And I think, endings are hard. I don't think people who are not writers, and I mean, I put myself in that category, realize how hard it is to end a story or a book. And so that's why sometimes they go on longer than they should, or sometimes you have an author that does it too quickly, or things are wrapped up too nicely, but they're hard. And I think that this one was done just beautifully, and it was just long enough. It was lovely. So I would highly recommend The Midnight Library. I also finished The Girl in Cabin 13, which I read on my Kindle, and yeah, it got better, but I did not like that one. That one is by A.J. Rivers. Parts of it were predictable from the beginning. It got a little weird and gross at the end, but it was a fast read. So if it intrigues you, pick it up. It wasn't the worst book I've ever read, but I would never choose to read it again, but I don't regret reading it. If that's not a glowing review, I don't know what is. And then right now I'm currently reading The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, and it seems like everybody else who I watch that talks about any books they're reading is reading this right now. I know Ray from Needles at the Ready, and Christy from We Share Needles were both reading it, and I love this book. I'm at a point where it's gotten a little slow, and it doesn't mean I'm not enjoying it. It's just there was a point where I was devouring it, and now it's just slowed down a little bit for me, but the concept is super interesting. This woman kind of makes a deal with the devil, and in the 1800s, I don't remember, but she's been alive for a very long time. And her curse is that in order to escape the life she had, she wanted freedom, but that translated to nobody remembers you. You can't make your mark on the world. So if she's speaking with someone, if they turn away, they will forget her immediately. And then one day she meets someone who doesn't forget her. And so then there's a whole kind of story, his story too. And it's really interesting and really nice. Probably the most unique book concept I've read in a long time, and I'm really enjoying it. So I'm sure I'm still going to recommend it when I finish it, but I'm really enjoying that one. I'm also reading Saving Us by Katherine Hayhoe. She's a climate scientist, and basically, she's also an evangelical Christian. So those two sectors don't normally come together. So she's a really unique perspective on how you can speak to people about climate change and, not about changing their minds, but, just kind of about how you can explain that it's real, and her struggles with that and things that she's seen in the world. It's a smart book, and it's really well written. I'm enjoying it. I'm kind of reading it both professionally and personally. And then I'm also reading The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave, which I think this is a Reese's book club, pretty popular. My mother-in-law read it, and her sister, so my husband's aunt also read it. My mother-in-law hated it. My husband's aunt loved it. I'm falling someplace in between. It's a fast read, super duper fast. I'm probably gonna finish it today or tomorrow. And it's sort of, at first I didn't know if I was gonna like it, because this woman is kind of going through her day, and her husband disappears and leaves a note that says protect her, and her is their 16-year-old daughter, and he's part of a tech firm that sort of implodes. And so at first you think he's running to escape the law, but then you realize he might be running for a different reason. It's a little sloppy on the details. Honestly, if your husband was missing, I don't think you'd be able to fly to a different state. But you guys know me by now. That kind of stuff bothers me, and I don't know why. I wish I could just enjoy it and just not let that kind of stuff bother me, but plausibility really does come into play sometimes, and that will pull me out, but it's not pulling me completely out. So it's interesting enough to keep me reading, and it'll probably end up in the 3-star zone if unless something really crazy happens at the end. So yeah, I don't know what is on the horizon next. I did get the most recent Sarah J. Maas book. The Crescent City novel was not my favorite, but I might have read some spoilers and that made it impossible for me to not read the sequel. So that one might be next. That one might skip line because I like her books. This is just not my favorite series. If it wasn't Sarah J. Maas, I probably wouldn't have read the first book at all. But because it's Sarah J. Maas, I give her some leeway. I haven't enjoyed her last two books, the Nesta book and this Crescent City. But good God, she's always going to get my money. It's just how it is. So I think that's going to be my next Audible book. And then I'm looking at my possibilities for my next not Audible book, and I'm not sure yet. Oh, I know what it's going to be. Caught by Harlan Coben. I borrowed that from my neighbor, and I think he expects me to read it quickly, so that one's going to be next. And then after that, who knows? The world's my oyster. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me today. If I haven't made it abundantly clear, I'm so happy you're here. I hope that you will continue to participate in the make-alongs, and feel free to reach out, comment, like, subscribe, anything. I love it all. So I will see you next time. I really look forward to finding out who's going to win some prizes in the next episode, and keep showing me what you're working on. I love it. I can't wait to see. So take care. Bye.